Get into it. Hey, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Size Matters episode 3. I'm joined by Justruss, who I think is enjoying the remnant or the remainder of his Tesco
Breakfast
meal
triple.
deal. What did you have, Russ? What was on your sandwich?
It's a breakfast triple: egg, mayo, and bacon, sausage, bacon, and egg, mayo with ketchup, sausage, egg, and mayo with. It sounds like the same thing all 3 times with ketchup. But
Everything
you know
with
what?
ketchup
You know why I
sounds
got
good.
it? It was reduced. It was reduced.
Yeah,
You know
there you
what
go.
sandwich is shit when like one of the headline acts is ketchup.
Ketchup. It has pieces of bread.
Featuring ketchup.
And of course, we've got Johnnyonelung here as well. Now, guys, I don't know if you want to take a second just to introduce yourselves a little bit, just to say, you know, hello, here I am, this is me. And Slew, hey, thank you for the follow, dude. Welcome in, man. I appreciate you being here. And yeah, so I mean, well, just Russ, you are of course a self-proclaimed massive streamer. I hear people are trying to get at you. You were telling me earlier, a lot of people trying to slide into your DMs and whatnot. But yeah, you're a big streamer. You've been in the WoW section for a while now. And then yeah, anything else that you kind of hit with? You want to hit with?
You know, my I'll just put a disclaimer out now. My input is 50% factually correct. Every time I say something, just flip a coin, and then that's if you can trust it or not. So
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like roll a D2. Yeah.
a D2.
One D2. I don't know. It's a D&D
Is that
term,
a
right?
D&D
Some,
reference?
yeah,
Okay.
but it's a flipper coin, dude.
Never played. Oh, it's like a 2-sided die, right?
Two-sided die. There you go. And Johnny, what about you, man? I mean, you're normally known for being behind the scenes. You're normally the guy that's, I mean, telling people what to do, where to go, and making all the funny memes. Anything else that the people should know about you?
I am and will always be Cyberslats bit on the side. But apart from that, no. I've been around the WoW scene now for a little while, even though internally I kind of, in my head, I'm like new to the scene just because I haven't been playing since vanilla. But one thing I have learned is that if somebody ever brings up I've been playing since vanilla, they're usually garbage tier. So.
Yeah, that's me. That's me. I have been I've been playing since vanilla. Johnny, you know what's funny? You said about being my bit on the side there, but you know what's actually really funny is the fact that my girlfriend today messaged me and she'd had a call. So my girlfriend has COVID, and she got a call from the hospital or whatever, and she messaged me and she was like, that's not the funny part of the story, by the way. And she messaged me and she was like, oh, I just spoke on the phone to this Northern Irish guy and I think I'm in love. And then now I've got to do a podcast with or a talk show with Johnnyonelung. So funny that you should mention bits on the side. But
yeah. We have nice accents, but we're bad at commitment, so she might ditch that.
That's a fair trade-off. But yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, just to give you a heads up, any donations during the course of the show today will be going to Panthera, which is a charity or an organization that works on the conservation of wild cats. So if that's something that's important to you, I mean, I'm sure we probably got a lot of feral druid enthusiasts in the chat, then please feel free to get involved. But apart from that, we're just going to be a couple guys talking about WoW. So, I mean, gentlemen, starting us off then, let's get into the actual content then, now that we've got through the pleasantries. And by the way, hello, chat. Welcome in, everyone. Good to see y'all.
Looking cute.
What has been your guys' personal highlight of Shadowlands so far? And we'll start with you, Russ, and work over to Johnny.
Personal highlight. I like that. I guess you have options. I know we're probably going to get into this a bit later with gearing and things. I like that. Like, I feel compelled to go do PvP, and I didn't in BFA and expansions before that. Like, traditionally, I used to be a PvPer, like nowhere near like good at PvP, but that was what I did. Like, I logged in, I queued arenas, I did BGs and stuff like that. So, and I've pretty much let that part of me like kind of drift away when I started getting into raiding and things, because I just didn't really see the point, and I wanted to be really, really good at raiding and stuff. So feeling like I wanted, like, getting back into that, and just like being able to do like RBGs, which I've always enjoyed, but I've never really like put the time aside to actually do and stuff like that is like really, really nice. Obviously we're going to get into the gearing a little bit later, but
Yeah.
I like that there's all those options. Also, I really like the dungeons. I much prefer them over the BFA ones.
Really?
Yeah, and
That's interesting. We should talk about that in a bit, but that's interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And generally just like I'm glad about my class choice, even though everyone thinks it's bad, even though it's not bad.
And what is that class choice?
I'm playing Rogue right now, so they're obviously good in Mythic Plus. I don't think they're terrible in rate. Don't shake your head at me. And yeah, well, at least I'm not playing Feral Druid, but you know, yeah, or Survival Hunter, or
any of the other memes that I've got. Yeah,
I mean, you got a monk, right? So
no. Here's the thing: Sai has a like pathological problem because at the start of the expansion, I asked him what his specs were gonna be.
Yeah,
and he chose Feral, Enhancement, and Windwalker. Those were the 3 that he had picked. And in that time, it looks like he's dropped the Windwalker. Windwalker is now like stonks. It's on the rise. And Sai, the little bit in Sai's brain thinks, no, that's a good spec now. So he drops that. And he picks up Survival.
No,
that's like literally bottom every week on that Wowhead to like review on the
No, that's not okay. No, in beta, my choices
when he picks his
my screen's
like
upside down.
Score. It's like, oh, the lower ones are the better ones.
No, okay. In beta, I was playing Enhancement and in Windwalker and Feral, and I was like, I don't know. I kind of want Hunter, Windwalker, or Enhancement. Which one? I decided on the Windwalker. I scrapped the Enhancement because I didn't like it, and then I chose Marksmanship Hunter. So I was actually Feral, Windwalker, and MM. But then I got bored of being ranged, so I went back to melee, and so I went Survival Hunter. But still, I'm a meme. Anyway, Russ, so you're enjoying the PvP elements. That's really good to hear. Yes. Johnny, what about you? What's been a kind of a surprise or, personal highlight for you with Shadowlands?
I, because I'm not an ape, I have the brain capacity to look at something, and even though it's not my thing, let it be okay. So I look at the PvP gearing system and I think that's good for them. I'm glad that they have that. And it is a marked improvement on what it was like in BFA for the PvPers. I think that is a great thing to have in the game. Deterministic, gearing, which we're going to get into later. I like that sort of general direction that the ship seems to be steering towards. Generally speaking, there's no one little aspect I can boil it down to, but the overall responsiveness of Blizzard so far has been fantastic, and that is both in game and from my side and everything. Whoever's running their social media and stuff like that there now in their community stuff is doing a way better job than what we saw in BFA. And for all I know, it could just be the same person, and they could say I was doing the exact same thing last time, and I'm only now noticing it. But they're being really present, and they are it's being noticed. So on the off chance that some that person hears it,
thumbs up from Johnny.
You have the fleeting approval of this, so I hope that gives you a little bit of serotonin. But aside from that, I actually do really like Covenant abilities. I'm not sure about the Covenant system, but I think the Covenant abilities, and particularly with the layer of legendaries, have breathed life into a lot of specs that have been kind of. You see, the problem is that they're not even bad. They're just kind of something I would never even look at.
Yeah, no, I think that's really, really good. I think a few things that you mentioned. So first of all, your favorite things about the expansion so far is a system that, for a part of the game that you don't even play and a Twitter account. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Perfect.
I think we can just go with the overarching theme that the best part is it's not BFA. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
I think we can all agree.
Yeah. I mean, the thing for me as well, like, I think Blizzard has been really, really good this time round, like this expansion. Not even just in their communication of a lot of things. I think it has improved, and I think we have seen in BFA it did get better over time, and now going in Shadowlands it is getting better, and we're seeing them react to things a lot quicker than they have in the past. I mean, we've seen even just this week. We'll get into it, but they've, added in, or that they're going to be adding in this Valor Point system because they've heard that Mythic Plus players feel like they're not getting enough gear, and they're adding in now extra raid loot because they've heard from raiders that raiders aren't getting enough loot. So they're very quick now to be making these, or at least setting up for these changes. So at least we know, oh, hey, in a few months something's coming, rather than what I guess like the old Blizzard would have done, which was just not communicate anything, and then suddenly there's a new system, if they even implement one at all. So I think that's what they're doing is really, really good. And something that makes me laugh as well, Johnny, that you mentioned the Twitter accounts, is I wonder who is in charge of the Warcraft devs Twitter account. Because it clearly, obviously, like, isn't a Warcraft dev themselves. It must be managed by like a social media person, and then things are passed on. And I wonder how that dynamic works, where it's like, hey, so what was the later, Warcraft dev tweets been about? Like, hey, we had any good stuff? And it's just like, yeah, just everyone being really flamey towards us today. Like, just that Twitter account gets absolutely slammed on day in and day out. So
I've been on, like, worked in a role where the company wants feedback from their Twitter, and they want you to compile it and like send it over to them, usually like every month. And I can only imagine the borderline like comedy that it's like, oh yeah, and like 17% of responses were just fix your game, but spelt slightly incorrectly every single time. So,
can we get in on that? Like, how's
So,
the fixing of the game? Are we good?
One of my like favorite stories about of that is when Healing Stat Adrian, he wrote a sort of like funny like from the front lines in BFA, where him, a few other PvP players got carried through Tall to Gore weekly no leavers by Nagura, and it was done in the tone of a very serious, like, report from the front lines, but like obviously it was like with comedic effect of like it would show clips and everything. Great piece, I loved it. Went onto the like official like a forum site and stuff like that there, and the response was to Healing Stat, who I'm not sure if he had like an official permanent role at Blizzard at the time, was fix your servers. Like, you've got time to make this, but you won't fix your servers. And I sort of think, like, if that's the type of moron you've got to deal with on a daily basis, whoever's running stuff like the Warcraft devs account, like, hats off to you. Like, I would have lost patience I would have called a lot of people a moron. I would have been right. Let me be clear.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, they definitely have to.
The best one is the Blizzard ENCS account. The one that like they report when the servers go down, like, we're being DDoSed again.
Yeah.
And then like everyone's like, we pay this amount per month. This is unacceptable. It's like all they're doing is like, we're doing the best we can. Like, we don't expect this to happen. And like they have like they post, and like within 5 minutes they have like 400 comments calling them idiots.
It's insane.
They're scammers and stuff, and it's like every post without fail, it's just like, the same guy. I don't want stereotypes.
But Russ, I can only play every third Sunday for 3 hours in this exact window that this has happened, so I deserve a refund.
I honestly, like, I love reading the sob stories of like the setup and like, this is my only chance. I have weddings to attend every day of the week. Like, this is my one chance to play on a Saturday at 2 p.m.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't know how they don't snap at these people, because like you say, Johnny, I would definitely be snapping. And It's funny as well in these instances where everyone thinks that like every person that works for Blizzard in the company, all like 30,000 employees, are all server maintenance guys or whatever, like server engineers, or like they're all like making the class design or something. Like there isn't one of the guys in the coffee shop in their Irvine office or something that just makes the coffee. Like no, he's responsible for the server the servers being DDoS and shit. And it's like, oh my
Twitter
goodness,
man, fix my server. Like, fuck.
It's hilarious.
You may know Zorbrix.
Yeah.
He used to be like in the esports department, but he's gone to like a more nerdy department. And he actually is like server stuff. See, like I don't know what servers are. Like there's with everything technology wise, there's what I call the magic box, like tipping point, and it's different for every individual. At a certain point, a computer just becomes a magic box. Like, how does that work? How does that work? And like, the more you know, the further along the line you can get. But eventually, someone goes, "Fucking magic box." So Dorbrix is a guy who like can go all the way, like, and it's never just a magic box.
Yeah.
No, but that still doesn't stop me from constantly asking him like just different questions. Like, my favorite at the moment, like in trend, is the housing update. Like which isn't coming. We're never getting housing.
Oh, so, like player housing in WoW.
Player housing. Yeah. So
I believe.
If you ever see that turnip, just ask him about the player housing.
I don't know. I mean, that's like a rabbit hole. I think. Like, I don't know why people. I personally don't know why people want player housing. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's an MMO. What you want to like go sit like in your own instance like house thing and just sit. Like, I don't know. It's not like Animal Crossing or something like that. Yeah, but I mean, Garrisons had their own issues. Like, I personally don't understand why people want them, but it's like a big. It always comes up at BlizzCon and stuff. Whenever they do the Q&A, it's like, when are we getting guild halls and player housing? And it's like,
yeah, I think it's so they can bring their friends. It is like, as you said, Animal Crossing, and a surprising amount of people play that game. So I guess it's like putting Animal Crossing into WoW. But yeah, like for me, I mean, in one way, like I can see it like, you know, people hunt achievements and things like that. So like maybe it's just what they enjoy about the game. But yeah, I mean, there's Animal Crossing for player housing and there's WoW for playing WoW. So
yeah,
well, it would if it would look anything like the Final Fantasy housing, it's like the ultimate like collector's thing, because you can go out and
put
like
trophies on display.
Yeah, you put the trophies on there and stuff like that. Blah blah. I have a feeling if player housing came to WoW, like us three would like be living like our player housing would look like your first like Minecraft house on like night one, just like a 4x4.
A 4x4.
That's where my character sleeps. Mechanically, I have to have one, so here it is. There's a bed, and then that one thing that dropped for you. It's like an off-color rug. You're like, yeah. That's me.
Looks nice. Yeah, you know, I like it. It looks good to me.
They could add drops into WoW though, you know.
Yeah.
Into Twitch, so we could get like a Cyber rug.
Ooh.
For a player housing.
Or like a Cyber body pillow, huh?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, yeah, right next to my bed.
There's a Nagura pillow. Why not a Cyber body pillow? You know?
There you go.
Cyber trash can. It's on brand.
Cyber Chan.
Cyber trash can, he said.
Oh, I thought he was like, yeah, Cyber
Chan. I mean, I'm happy with either. Actually, those are both on brand. Right, so gentlemen, moving on then to I guess, you know, the rest of the WoW stuff. What do you guys? Yeah, so I mean, I touched on it briefly. What do you guys think about the fact that Blizzard is being so proactive on making these changes, like mid-season, where we're seeing dungeon nerfs, raid or dungeon, you know, like rebalancing, raid rebalancing, even some slight PvP tuning? Do you think this is good to be occurring mid-season? Is this something that they should delay until, you know, a 0.05 or a 0.1? Starting with you, Russ, what do you think? Or are you happy with how they're doing this?
I'm kind of okay with it changing like through the season, because as the season goes on, like naturally you're gonna do higher and higher keys, for example. So it doesn't really matter that like they changed Necrotic Wake, like they did make it a bit easier, but it was really frustrating and unforgiving before that people just didn't do it. Like when the participation rate is falling so low that people think it's not worth their time, obviously there's a problem, and I don't think that they should have to wait, you know, months and months to fix that or to address it. So
yeah.
I think it's a good thing to change halfway through, because like sure, you could argue that oh, I did this when it was hard, and that's when I did my 20 necrotic wake. But like, if you're still pushing keys, like as gear gets better and better and better throughout the season, you should be able to beat that 20 regardless. So it doesn't really matter that you did it when it was hard or what. Like, you can still say you did, or if you recorded it, like, cool, that's nice. But I think that, yeah, like, it's fine to change it halfway through the season. And as like Johnny was saying, how Blizzard are just like doing better to react to things, and like they're being way more open. And as you said as well, like about how they're actually like previewing like system, or saying like we have plans to do this. Like, they didn't do that at all in BFA. They just like got to a 0.5 patch or a 0.1 patch or whatever, and then they were just like, yo, here's the new stuff.
Yeah.
See you in like 6 weeks. And then like everyone
Not
just,
even
like,
6 weeks. See you in 6 months. Like
6 months, yeah. And then everyone would just like abuse them for that 6 months, and then they'd be like, okay guys, we messed up. And it's like, if you just talked to us beforehand, we could have helped you iterate. Like, we're not telling you to like rip it out and like start again. We just want to like iterate on the system that you came up with. So I think that like they're just being very proactive, and I think it's good to come like sooner rather than later.
I want to like jump on that word that you said there, where it's iterate.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that, like, for whatever reason, like Blizzard like to release stuff, and then it's not that they don't care, it's just that they just see where the chips fall, and then later they will fix it.
Yeah.
Which is okay, but like I would much rather have like, okay, here's a like little iterations of it, and I don't care that I get a bare bones system at the start.
As long as
Looking,
it get fleshed out, yeah.
yeah, like I'm looking at the Valor like points that are coming up and everything, and people are like, oh well, what about this or like that or like whatever. At the moment, I don't care if it's only 220 if it caps out there, and like that's got a whole like sort of like, yes, this or that, like, which I'm sure we're going to get into later. But at the moment, I don't care, because like I would rather them deploy that, and then all of us sit there with 220 gear, and then we're all like, oh, wish we could do this or that type thing. Or what might happen is that like a huge like gulf then happens between the players, where either you have full 220 plus, or you never get invited to like a +2. And then that's where you can like iterate on it and like fix it to make it like, okay, maybe like lower stuff is like a little bit more readily available, blah, 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 blah. But that sort of like iteration, I wish would come in there. Also, like, I wish they would like, when they said like, oh, you're going to have to reform your gear, this has led people to speculate like maybe they just don't have the like the old meme like, oh, the technology isn't simply isn't there yet. But if that's the case, if that's a like, oh, there's a technical limitation, which means it's going to take an incredible amount of like man hours work just to get like this for your gear, blah blah blah. And we don't think it's worth pouring all our resources into that, when 9.1 is hopefully like, we're literally halfway to 9.1, and you're going to outgear all of this stuff anyway. Like, if they were just like that sort of like open, I think like a lot of the sort of online vitriol would be maybe a strong term, but like that, like immediate like backlash where and it's not like Blizzard aren't entirely to blame here, because we've kind of learned to look very skeptically at new systems, but iterations and clarifications, and like just show you're working. If you think like, oh, we want to do this because we don't like, just give reasons, like,
Yeah.
and then if the reasons are good, they'll stand up. Like, if the reasons are like bad or a blatant like mislead, I'm looking back directly at PvP vendors are far hard to find type thing, like,
Yeah.
come on, like, if that's bad, then maybe it does deserve harsh criticism, like if that's your reason why. But yeah, iterations, clarifications, that's what I want to look for. But so far in the right direction, needs improvement in terms of the like a feedback implementation cycle. But yeah, I'll take it at the moment.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely think like I'm in agreement with both you gentlemen, and Russ definitely on the side of I'd rather them make the changes mid-season and like you know, because there are some specs in PvP that are just too powerful, like we saw with Prop Paladin was just like too strong, and they had to kind of jump on it and squash it down a little bit, because it wasn't like feasible for the game. And I think it's good when Blizzard do step in and they make changes to these things. I think what I would like to see is still that rein in some of these Mythic Plus specs that are just above and beyond just incredible, like Fire Mage. It doesn't matter what environment you put it in Mythic Plus, it is going to do that thing. You need to kill it at Pride, fine. You need it to blow up and do 100k DPS in an AoE pack, fine. You need it to do incredible boss damage, fine. It doesn't matter, it's going to do it. And then you compare it to something like, I don't know, like Sass Rogue or something, Russ? I don't know. Where are you at? I mean,
spec'd into that since BFA.
Yeah, but I don't know. You compare it to like another spec where you might have really good AoE, but you're struggling in single target, or you know, you have really good single target, but you're struggling in AoE. And then I just think that there are some specs that are just really big outliers, and they need to bring those in. So I am a big fan of mid-season tuning, because, like you said, Russ, yeah, maybe 20 key was the highest key in the world at that point, and then they came in and they did some dungeon nerfs and they did some class tuning, and now suddenly people could be doing 23s, 24s. That's fine. It doesn't matter, because like it's just the new ceiling, right? Like you can still just go and earn that thing back. So realistically, if you're pushing IO or something like that, then you're just doing it for fun anyway. When it comes to PvP is a little bit different, because you are trying to get, like, you know, Glad or certain titles or, you know, whatever. So I understand from that point of view. But then, I don't know. I think it's good to be getting this mid-season tuning. I definitely think, Johnny, that, like you were saying, Blizzard could do a better job at communicating what they're trying to do and what they're trying to achieve. When they bring in a change, explain why. I know, for example, like Warlocks, right? Warlocks are looking like they're going to get... The nerf is coming in for their Malefic Rupture in, like, 9.0.5, right? It hasn't happened yet, right? Is it delayed till 0.5? Unsure? Okay, I'm sure there's a Warlock in chat that can answer that question. Yeah. So it's in 9.0.5. Malefic Rupture is getting nerfed. And I know that a lot of Warlocks have come out and said, well, why are they nerfing our AoE? It was our single target that was a problem. Now this is going to affect our single target and our AoE or whatever. And, or at least that's my understanding of it. And so, because Blizzard hasn't come out and said this is the reason for the change, it's leaving a lot of people kind of just guessing as to why they've done this thing. And I think if Blizzard were to come out and kind of give even just a sentence or two as to why they're making this change, what the design philosophy was behind this, I think that would go a long way for people in the community. And then you're still free to argue with the decision, but at least you know, like, at least you can respect their reasoning for it, right? Like, it's like when a ref makes a call in a sports game, you know, in the big sports game that everybody watches on the TV. And when the player does the thing, the referee in the sports game gives him a card or a ticket or something, right? Or the flag goes up, and there's like you know, people want to argue with the ref and ref's useless and shit, and you know, all that kind of stuff. But like, if you were getting a reason for these decisions, then you'd have way less room to argue for that kind of stuff, you know? That's a really good analogy. I actually nailed that one, I think. That was perfect.
It does feel like Blizzard are more than happy to, like, make a decision and then deal with the backlash. Like we were talking about earlier as well, but like, it feels like they're okay to deal with the fallout and then do damage control, rather than just like preemptively say why, and then they wouldn't even get the backlash or nowhere near as much of it in the first place. Like, I didn't really understand that train of thought.
I do would like to like maybe like argue from their corner with the amount of commitment that you put into for a spec in BFA. Like, you know, if tuning changes came quicker, I think that would have upset people quite a lot, actually. No, it's at the point now where it's clear that, like, you know, catch up if you switch covenants isn't so bad. And in fact, if you ding 60, it's not so bad. So Lash, why is that like not capped, like uncapped up to the like theoretical like limit that people have? I don't know. I think that should be something. But at the same time, like, particularly if you farmed your legendary, like went into a covenant that you weren't that happy about, but you know, fuck it, and you went and you're on a spec, like maybe your second favorite spec, like maybe you're a frost mage at heart, you're like, fine, fire mage, and you're like, oh, I have to be with the furries as well, fine. And then like 2 weeks later, Blizzard say like, oh gee, we're gonna nerf that to the ground. Like like I think that I don't blame them if that's the reason why they waited. And in fact, actually having a watershed, like it's a different like patch, even if it's a mini patch, I think is incredibly clever, because they've already talked about like oh, there's going to be like legendaries and stuff like changed around. I think there's a chance that a number of specs that are really really like ahead of the pack now, like I don't want to say ahead of the pack because generally speaking they're like quite tight, but like there are ones that are sitting at the top that are going to go to like mid, like maybe bottom like 75%, like the type thing. uh and like it might be in line with everyone else, but you know, if it's your spec, you don't care. You were doing great damage, now you're doing okay damage. And I think having that sort of like discreet, okay, it's a different patch now, so don't get mad. And then they just go boom and take away your spec that you had to go into.
Yeah.
But you know, at the same time, it might open it up for other people.
I mean, I think as long as they give you fair warning, if you know you have 3 months, 4 months to prepare for this upcoming nerf to a certain covenant or a legendary change or something, it gives you the necessary time. I think the big thing for people is when they wake up on a Tuesday and now their spec is bad. And I think that's where the issue comes in. I think, you know, if you look at, say, THD on Twitter, where THD is saying, Blizzard, should I hold my Stygia or should I not hold my Stygia? Like, what's going on? Am I going to be able to buy sockets in, or, you know, conduit upgrades or whatever in 9.1 with a new raid tier? Or is this all going to reset and I'm going to have to refarm? Like, can you give me a heads up so I know whether I can play the game right now or not? And I think things like... Yeah, exactly. I think that's where it's good for Blizzard to communicate those things. And that's where you can at least just plan ahead a little bit. Like, oh, no, I'm free to use my sockets right now. Or like, no, I have to hold them until 9.1 so I can, you know, compete in the raid or compete in the content that I'm interested in. But yeah, definitely, I think Blizzard's kind of improving on the communication quite a bit. And I think, like you say, Johnny, having that mini patch is a good way to kind of, you know, sneak in a few changes there. But then like breaking it down, then we've spoken a bit about the Valor gear. You know, we've kind of glanced at it a little bit in conversation today. But breaking it down, then, for those of you that don't know in chat, Blizzard are looking to bring in a currency, Valor Points, like we've seen in old expansions, as a currency to buy gear for Mythic Plus. Or you'll own this currency in Mythic Plus, and then you'll be able to buy gear with it. And
upgrade
if you do,
gear. You have to farm the gear yourself.
Yeah, it's like to be able to upgrade the gear. So all Mythic Zeros, if you do all Mythic Zeros, then you can, you're capped at 200 item level for this gear. If you do all Mythic plus 5s, then it's 207. All Mythic plus 10s is 213. And all Mythic plus 15s is 220. So this has caused a lot of controversy for a lot of people, because although a lot of people are happy about this being implemented and this new currency coming in specifically for people that are playing Mythic Plus that might not be as good at PvP or might not be raiding as much and whatnot, or just need a good way to kind of upgrade a few, you know, minor slots like your braces or your belt or something like that that's just kind of lagging behind a little bit. This has been well received in part, but then a lot of people have kind of had backlash and said, oh, well, it should be higher item level. We should be able to get 233 weapons from Mythic Plus like we can with PvP or with Raid. And other people have said, no, PvP and raiding is way more difficult than Mythic Plus, and Mythic Plus is a farmable, you know, piece of content, so you shouldn't be able to get gear the same way. What is the side of the fence that you guys sit on? Are you, you know, for higher item level, or are you happy with what it currently is, or would you like Mythic Plus to not be as rewarding as say raiding and PvP? And just really quickly, Phantasm, thank you for that 25, dude. I really appreciate that. Thank you for supporting Panthera there on that one. Thank you for helping support the cats, huh? Yeah, for the kitties, not because I condone Sai playing Boomy. Hey, understandable. I also don't condone me playing Boomy. But yeah, Russ, starting us off then, what do you think about the Valor Point system?
So I am for it. I think that it's like, as Johnny said earlier, right? Like, it's a start. It's like the bare bones system that hopefully they'll iterate on and, you know, listen to the community, see what generally people are thinking, and go forward from there. But I am for, you know, it being as good as PvP or raid. Like, I think that maybe like plus 18s, like all 18s times, maybe that can give the 226, and then maybe like 20s times gets the weapon, like to 233 or whatever, something like that. That like those numbers can be figured out. But like I'm generally under the principle of like, or the mindset of like the content, like which one is harder. I don't know. Like I think that if you're really good at PvP, then PvP is easy, and then you have access to that really good gear. But maybe you find M plus really hard and like the raid really hard. I generally am under the like impression that the hardest content is the one that involves the most moving parts, aka the most amount of people. So mythic raiding, I don't find particularly like mechanically difficult personally on like a personal level, but it's hard to coordinate 20 people doing everything that you want to do at the same time, right? So it's hard to organize, and that's what makes it like the hardest aspect of the game in a lot of people's eyes. Mythic Plus requires 5. You can get all the best PvP gear from only having 2 people, like you and one other person. So like under that principle, like if 2 people can just put in a ton of time and get really good at that area of the game and be able to get like 233 weapons and 226 in every other slot, like coordinating with 4 other people for Mythic Plus should be able to get you the same results, just as coordinating with 20 other people for the raid can get you the same results, right? So I'm kind of under that impression. I think it should they should just be like, yeah, this is a flat line. Like whichever area of the game that you like to play, you don't feel punished for playing it, you know, in terms of like gear, because some people do just play to get the best gear in every slot. Some people don't. They prefer like the challenge. They prefer like chasing the Raider IO and things like that, and they will go out of their way to go do PvP so they can get the best gear to go do the area of the game they want. Like I was saying, like at the start of the show, right? Like that I feel incentivized to go do PvP. I think that like that's good, I guess. So it kind of like shoots myself in the foot when I say that like Mythic Plus should give all the same, because then maybe I wouldn't feel incentivized to go to PvP, which I said I'd enjoyed about Shadowlands. But I don't know, like because there's time gating on essentially like how quickly you can obtain the Valor or the conquests and stuff like that. You can still gear up quicker by exploring all those aspects, right? Like so you can, what's the conquest is right now? It's like 550 per week max.
Yeah.
And then maybe you can only get 550 Valor per week, and then you can then you can do your raid lockout, so you can get a couple pieces from the raid, a couple pieces from PvP, and a couple pieces from Valor each week. So like you'll still bring up your overall item level quicker by doing all 3. But if you don't want to do 1 or 2 of the others, you can just still eventually get to your like ceiling in terms of gear, by just doing the area of content that you actually enjoy. So I think it should be the same, but the numbers and like where the dungeons should offer the weapons and the 226 should obviously be up for debate.
What about you, Johnny?
Yeah, kind of similar thoughts, to be honest. Lithian chat brought up the holy grail of terms, which is the third pillar, which I think most people want for Mythic Plus to be recognized as. It is a like Mythic Plus is seen as separate from the other forms of gameplay as PV rating and PvP is. It's kind of just sort of like the redheaded stepchild, and I say that as a redhead. That's my word. I'm allowed to say it. Like sorry, M plus is seen as the sort of like unwanted, hang on of rating, and that origins comes from way back in like vanilla or like whatever, before M plus was a thing where you progress through questing and leveling, then the next thing was dungeon content, and then you got enough dungeon content and you can you can go and like try the raid or like something like that there. And that's great for 2010, but it's not 2010 anymore. And the type
I wish it was.
Oh, did you still have a hairline?
Phil.
But the but the point I'm trying to say is that as much as people like to sort of say raid should be the top thing because it's not as difficult as that might be true, but in terms of progression and feeling that your characters coming along and everything, there's WoW is Mythic Raid and Mythic Plus and PvP aren't competing with each other in terms of oh, what do you want to do? WoW is competing with like Netflix or like Fortnite, like, and as it's going to, I already know that like I can see, like I can imagine, and a lot of these people I'm friends with, like more like a hardcore players, like, well, if you can't invest the time, you shouldn't get rewards, and I agree, but there comes a problem, particularly with M pluses, where you can invest the time, like I did, for, uh, and you can just just strike out with your luck, and it just feels awful. It feels awful to invest like 3 evenings of your night, like of your week, and come away with like one upgrade. And that doesn't happen in raiding. Well, it kind of does at the moment. But like traditionally that didn't happen with raiding, like particularly when we had loot counts and stuff like that. Like in sorry, yeah, like a master loot, like in higher end guilds, all of this is kind of like like, you know, the debate and the talk that they have and everything is like really good. And then when they say like lower guilds, they mean like top 200, top 300. But like there are like literally millions of other players out there. And I think like when the time investment into a game isn't giving you goodies at any point, like, or it becomes increasingly like it just
Goodies.
feels bad. Like
Goodies.
no
Goodies.
serotonin is just like is popping, and like my brain isn't like, and I don't think it like I've played a little bit less since like about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I don't think it was any sort of like conscious decision. I legit just think like, because I just like running dungeons. I think that's fun. I think the Shadowlands dungeons are incredibly fun. And if like playing tank right now, even if it's not a meta tank, I'm not doing high end content. I'm having so much fun on the prop paladin. But at a certain point, my like brain just kind of like fizzles out, because you get to the end of the dungeon and it's a waste of time. Like I'm not getting
Yeah.
score on it. I'm not progressing my character. Whereas if I was a PvP player, I could be playing like dog shit for hours, but I've gotten honor along the way. Like there's some sort of like,
But you get anima.
35 anima. I swear to God. 35 anima. You're right, Russ. I take my point entirely back. But yeah, like that's just it. It feels just kind of, it doesn't even feel bad. It's just like, oh, but enough of those like O's, like, and your brain just like
Why am I
stops.
doing this? Like, what am I? Is this
Yeah,
my
like,
Friday night? Like, why am I spending it here in these keys?
and
Yeah.
and to sort of like shout like you know, represent this like actual casual like a community, and not the, oh yeah, we're pretty casual, you know, we only got like you know, top 200 last time. It's like, but you know, Dave was off for paternity leave, blah blah blah. But actual casual guilds, I'm talking those people out there who are like maybe like 3 or 4 out of 10 mythic right now, and you're like, you know, you're a heroic guild that goes into like mythic, which is like most people. You'll do a bit of like, you'll clear heroic eventually, and then you'll like go into mythic until the next tier comes out. Someone in chat said that's Russ, and you know, that is true. But
I don't even do mythic now.
but
I didn't even finish heroic with my guild.
had to pug it.
Yikes, dude.
Had to pug
But
it.
I think the like conquest cap or the Valor cap will be really important for a different reason. And that's because in those super casual guilds, I already see people like saying like, you should like have this like you know, as like unlocked, like uncapped. Let me do that. And the high end raisers are like, oh no, 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 because then the expectation is that you're fully kitted out in
Yeah.
like whatever the cap is. However, the more I've seen more casual players sort of be like, hey, it doesn't affect me, and there are more of us. But actually it will affect you, because no matter what level of guild you're at, there's going to be an expectation that you've done a little bit of it, no matter what. And it doesn't matter if your raid leader is sitting there saying like, oh, don't worry, just do as much as you can, because it's not the raid leader. It's like one officer. It's like 3 of your melee players and like 2 ranged players that have really tried, and they're doing more DPS and everything. And then they turn around and you're doing shit DPS. And they're like, why is that guy allowed to come? Like
you're saying if you don't do Mythic Plus and you don't get the Valor gear, is that what you're saying? Like it means it's another piece of content that people are going to be forced to have to do if they want to raid, yeah?
But only if that, like at the start, if that like is complete, if the cap is too high. I think that's the eventuality for super casual guilds that, you know, Tim and Bob have all gone and done like loads and they're absolutely crushing it. And then they look around and like nobody else has done it. Tim and Bob are leaving your guild eventually because they want to find a guild where, you know, other people will do that.
I think that's okay though.
Yeah, but
yeah, I'm okay with that.
Like, I think that people shouldn't be like, people should pursue what they want to accomplish in the game, right? Like, I don't think that they should feel obliged to stay in a casual guild when they're obviously prepared to put in the extra time to essentially ascend the ladder.
Yeah, but the point I'm trying to make is like those divisions in like how try-hardy or not try-hardy your guild are gonna become really apparent if you put an uncapped Valor point system in it. And if you're a casual player being like, oh, it should be uncapped, I don't care. Well, it might actually affect you directly. Either you'll turn up to raid and half of your raid hasn't done it, or you'll turn up to raid and, you know, those good players aren't there anymore because, you know, they've moved on. And I agree with you. They shouldn't feel obliged to stick around.
Yeah. Do you mean the like acquisition of Valor points being uncapped so that you can there's no like weekly cap and you can obtain as much as you want in a given day or week or what? Is that what you meant with the cap?
Yeah.
Okay, that would be terrible. Yeah.
So they have to cap Valor. Yeah.
They have to have
the
conquests now. Like you can only get, like they used to always have Valor caps, I think, right? It was like 500 a week or whatever.
Yeah.
And you use it like per upgrade, per like 5 hour levels that you upgrade, at least in WoD, I remember. It was like 100 or something. So you could upgrade 5 times. You could upgrade anything you want 5 times, up to 3 maximum upgrades, I think, like each week. So you can, like in like Johnny's example, you know, you'd log on a Wednesday before the raid comes out, and Billy and Jeff have literally been playing since 7 a.m. and they've got stacked. And then they're like, why didn't you guys? It's like, well, I have a job and a wife and kids, and I have to like go make my dinner and all this. And it's like, I can't physically put the hours in that these guys do. And then they'll be like, yeah, well, I'm gonna go find a guild with people that pay attention, like put in the hours.
This guild's not big enough for the two of us.
And that's fine. But like, my whole general like motto of guilds anyway is that everyone should be on the same wavelength. Like, there should be, everyone should have the same goals in mind, and everyone should have.
The thing for me, right, is like a lot of people. So first of all, there's a lot to what you said here, Johnny. And I think first of all, people try and change the guild to suit them, and not try and find the guild that suits them. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people join a casual guild but expect people to be doing, like, I personally am in a guild where like some people aren't even doing their 15 key each week, right? But I'm doing at least 10 on multiple characters, and I'm doing PvP and like this and that and whatever, right? So like, but I'm okay with that because I know what I've like signed up for, right? So I'm okay of that with that. I'm not like, I would raid 7 days a week when a new tier comes out, and I would, you know, do split runs, and I would do all of that stuff because I'm prepared to do that. But I understand that the guild that I'm in, I didn't sign up for that when I joined. That's not the guild that they are. So I'm not going to try and force people to do that stuff, you know? So I think it's about having realistic expectations of the guild that you're joining, and also making sure that you're joining a guild that suits you. If you do want that 7 day a week raiding, and you do want doing your 10 mythic plus keys and farming your Valor and all that kind of stuff, then find that guild for you. And I think as well, like, if there is that divide of, oh, now that Blizzard's introduced Valor and people can farm geared mythic plus, and now we have to do it, otherwise, like, Billy and Johnny and Susie are going to be too well geared and they're going to want to leave. Those guys were going to want to leave anyway. This is just the thing that, like, you know, like tips it over the edge, but there was going to be something. It's like when people say, oh, we should get rid of Raider IO because like people are choosing other people with more Raider IO. It's like, yeah, and in vanilla, you used to go to Ironforge Bridge and you'd stand there and somebody would inspect you to say whether that you could come to their RFC group, you know? Like, it's always been a thing. It's always going to be a thing. It was item level. It was getting inspected on Ironforge Bridge. It's always a thing where people are going to be judging you and trying to, like, shape up next to people who are similar to them. It's just a human nature thing. Yeah, it's just like credentials and yeah, exactly. And so I think like there's always going to be something that does it. I just think that, like we were going back to with the third pillar, I think Mythic Plus, like if you look at somebody like JB on Twitter, he's somebody who's advocating for Mythic Plus to get the respect that it deserves, because it's one of those things where, hey, what's the point in going above a 15 key? There's no point. There's absolutely nothing. The only thing that's encouraging you to go over a 15 key is an external website that's giving you a little number next to your name. That's the only thing that's encouraging you in game to go above that thing. And part of me thinks that that's okay, because like people just want to, like, Blizzard's kind of saying, look, we don't want to force you to have to go and do a plus 50 key each week. Like, you should just kind of do it if you want to. But I also think there are a lot of people like myself that just want to play the game, right? I think ultimately raiding is the most fun thing. Well, I think PvP is the most fun thing in the game, but I'm shit at it. So, and I get anxiety about like pugging it. But raiding is like the most fun thing that I like to do in game. I like to try and excel. I like to try and improve and min max and try and like do the best that I can every single week. And I really look forward to raiding. But you can't raid every single day, 24 hours a day. Whereas with Mythic Plus, I can go and sign up to a key at 3 a.m., 12 in the afternoon. Doesn't matter. I can do something. And I really like that accessibility. Exactly. So
I mean, you can sign up for it, but nobody's going to accept it.
Yeah, that's why I specifically said I can sign up to it. You know, I didn't say I can get it. But I can get declined from a key at any time of day. Trust me. Watch me. But yeah, like that's my thought.
The one thing I wish they would do as well is like, you know, I honestly, I don't have the perspective for like, is like 220. I've seen people say that 220 is too low. I've seen people say 220 is too high. I think as well, a lot of people have to realize that like there are some PvP players who look at, wait, I have to do all plus 15s, and they're like, shit, I can't do that. Whereas, you know, there are some people who are doing like plus 20s, and you see like, you know, oh yeah, you got to get you know, 2100 rating, and then they're looking at that like, ooh, like, you know, but you know, you have like outliers like fucking Trill, who's just good at everything.
I don't think he's actually. I don't think he exists. I've never seen him before. I don't think he exists. I think he's a made up. I think he's an ideology rather than a physical being. You know.
I like. Do you know the way like when people say like, oh, it's really hard to say like who is the best WoW player that I always just stop the conversation and say it's Trill.
Yeah.
It is. It's like objectively, like he's won everything.
Yeah. He's like doing AWC, and then like he's like, oh, finishes Race to World first. Oh yeah, I gotta get prepped for AWC, and then like, oh yeah, after that, I think I got an MDI Cup after that or something. Like,
it's a shame that like, you know, we live in COVID times and it's BlizzCon Online and not BlizzCon, because I really like Trill's kind of at his peak, and I really like the idea of Trill being in a seat like up at BlizzCon and like lifting a trophy and everything, and then just going to sit back down, and everything else changes around him, and they bring in a new
the whole set like swivels around.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, now we're doing MDI, and it's, you know,
some guy just walks in, like rips the sign down, puts up an MDI plaster, like, whoosh, and he's just
sitting there on his phone looking through Twitter. You all right, Dennis? He was like, all right, how did it go? Yeah, I won again. Thanks, mate.
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing as well, like for me with this whole debate over the whole Valor Point thing, system thing is, people try and say shit like the conversation isn't about like, the conversation's removed. It's a different thing now. It's a case of, hey, what's more difficult, PvP or PvE? And obviously it's PvP. Obviously it's PvP. Like, why is that even a debate? If you're going to compare having to react to another player in a non-scripted format and comparing, and I know people go, but PvP is scripted. You got to trade cooldowns. Shut up. And then you compare that to like
maybe if you traded a cooldown, you might
I just never understood the concept. I popped trinket on pull, but and then they go, oh no, like PvE is more difficult because you got to get 20 players, and like it's this whole like stupid conversation of what's more difficult. And I think it's just a pointless conversation, because people should be able to do the content that they enjoy and get the reward for it. I personally am not good at PvP. I like to raid, but I'm not in a top tier hardcore raiding guild, and I think to achieve that is very, very difficult to get in a guild like that. But I love doing Mythic Plus, and I do 50 plus hours a week of Mythic Plus, and yet I'm getting slapped on by better specs, but also by people that are wearing 233 PvP weapons or 233 raid weapons. Sorry, I have a speech impediment from when I was a kid. It comes back sometimes to haunt me. Wade weapons. And
Wade weapons.
The Wade weapons. Ooh woo.
Ooh.
And like people coming and clapping me with raid gear and PvP gear, and like, but they're excelling in Mythic Plus, and it's like, well, this is something that I'm doing. I'm putting more hours into each day than any of them, but they're excelling at it because they have the gear from the other sources that I can't easily get. And it would be nice to be able, as much as I think rating is important to have and have good gear to encourage you to go and stuff like that, I think it would just be nice to be able to do Mythic Plus and not feel like I'm getting shafted because I can't raid at a high tier or PvP at a high tier. And another thing I just wanted to add as well is the whole thing that when people say shit, and this really pisses me off, when people say if raiding didn't drop good gear, nobody would raid. It's like, who is raiding for gear? Who is raiding for gear?
I've never raided for gear, but people do a lot. Actually.
No, there's no way. Okay, I've raided for the last 6 weeks. I've had one mythic raid item. One in 6 weeks. Who is raiding for gear? What do you need that gear for? If you're raiding for gear, what do you need the gear for?
Yeah, it's like people that they do heroic raiding, right? And then they're not willing to put in the time necessary to do mythic raiding, right? Like there's a bit more preparation you have to do, you have to play a little bit better, but they want to go into the mythic raid. Like say I often do like the viewer raids, right? Like when Crossroad Mythic comes out, I put on like, first 3 boss viewer raid, right, of mythic. And there's people who are like heroic geared and they're like just about performing, like maybe pulling their weight in heroic, but then they want to get into mythic, and it's like, why? Like, and then I say like, okay, have you like learned the fights? Have you like, do you keybind your abilities? Like simple things like that to me and you. And then they're like, well, no, I don't have time for that. And I'm like, then why are you trying to join a mythic run? Like you don't need, and they're like, oh yeah, it's like, it's for the gear. And it's like, but you don't need this gear to play the game because you're not willing to put in the time for that level of content anyway, Like people, they just see like, oh, higher number, me once. Like so many people are like, it's almost like a curse in my eyes. Like it's like this weird like addiction to just like having the higher eye level gear, even though like they have no use for it. Like they don't do Mythic Plus, so they don't need it for that. They don't do Mythic rating, so they don't need it for that. But like if they can have a potential chance of like essentially getting carried through at that point, if they're not willing to pull their weight, just to get it. Like it's like the same people that buy boosts, like they buy mythic full clears when there's no mount or anything in the raid or whatever, and then it's like,
and even if there is, why are you paying for a reskin mount? Like why are you paying?
Yeah, and then there's like they pay like 10 million gold for like loot share, like VIP trading onto their character for all like a full mythic run, and then they log out. Yeah, like they get all the items and then they're like, log out, I'll make an alt, I'll get it, I'll buy another run next week on my mage. Thanks for gearing up my warrior. Like, they don't play the character, they don't need the gear, but they'd like to have it. It's like a really weird, I've never understood the mindset, but like it definitely exists.
I can actually understand it. It's like a collectibles thing, like and even though there's a little bit of overlap with like transmog collecting and stuff like that, but it's the idea that there's stuff that you don't have in your collection. And it's like, oh, it's only 10 million gold, and like they've got like wad gold sitting there. Yeah, it's only 10 million. I'm like, and then they pay for it, and they're like, oh yes, and they get that little rush. Honestly, that's fine because like that is honestly what's funding like Race to World First right now. True. People who make those poor decisions. So let's not shit talk them, all right, Russ?
Hey,
I shit talk everyone all the time.
No, I agree. Like personally, I just don't see it. Like it's right. It's like, what's that gear for? Oh, well, to do content. It's like, oh, you're gonna go into Mythic? I was like, I'm not outside of this carry, no.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you need the Mythic gear so that you can raid Mythic. Like you don't, if you're getting boosted through Mythic or whatever, or if you're not planning on raiding Mythic, you don't need it for anything. Like, are you gonna do World Quest fast? I don't know. It boggles my mind. But like, who's raiding for gear still is my question. Like, could you imagine like the guys in Limit or Echo or Pieces like sitting there and thinking like at the end of the race, like during the Race to World First, like, just like, I wonder what side in Athreus loot is gonna drop. Like, they're like, they don't give a shit. They want to win so they can get like the sponsorships and like, you know, all that kind of shit. Like
real life loot.
yeah, they want the. Sorry, go on, Johnny.
Call out anyone, but there are people in high end guilds who like get caught. And when I say high end, like, you know, top 100, like a Hall of Fame, that sort of stuff. There's always a few cases of like when we still had like coins to like roll. All of a sudden you say like you finally get that last boss down, and then you say like, why do you have a coin? You were meant to coin that second boss to get the weapon so you could trade it. Why do you still have a coin? And be like, oh, I forgot about it. And because they wanted,
Wait,
like,
seriously?
Yeah. I know a couple of examples. I'm not going to name names, but a couple of examples of like people doing that. Not any in the top 10 that come to mind.
Oh my goodness.
But definitely, you know, like they get memed on, and it's like, holy shit, you absolute ape.
You ape, yeah.
Because they want they want the like N'Zoth weapon or something like that. One thing, like just the higher eye level weapon, I would love it if you did all top 20s. You got just a little token that you turn in, and you get like your weapons, like so sword and shield, two-hander, main and offhand, something, and you just like hand it in, and it's a recolor of an iconic weapon beforehand. Like just make it like kind of cool, like just a little bit, like it's not like Mage Tower appearance level of like crazy, but you know, just a slight recolor, you know, oh, I've seen that before, but I haven't seen it in purple. Be like, well, actually,
like a green hammer of the Naru or something.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just a little like boasting point, like just you know, give a little bit of incentive as well. And then, you know, those people like at the super high end of like M plus can carry people for like 10 million gold to get their you know, their mage weapon and
their reskins. Hear that? Wow. Hear that, Blizz? Johnny wants more reskins, so if you can give us more of those, can we get 9 more Gronlings, please? That would be fantastic.
Wolves. I like wolves.
Horses. JK. No,
right, and then moving on then to I guess like patch 9.0 and stuff, and I mean we will be running short of time soon, so we will kind of speed it up a little bit. But what do you guys think about patch 9.0.5? Have you know, what's the you know, have you heard anything from that so far that's excited you, or that you're kind of a little bit worried about? And I guess like kind of the main question is, any noteworthy class or covenant changes that you've seen so far? Anything that you think is like I say, you're really excited about or really apprehensive about? Anything stuck out to you? Yeah, go on, Johnny.
Let me jump in. Everyone's like, it's on the show notes. The Warrior Mastery Conqueror's Banner thing. It's dumb. Stop it. Stop. No one likes PI. Don't give us another one. In fact, I think 9.05 change should be that make holy paladins and disc priests like maybe like do less damage, but they get to keep PI, and just delete PI from Shadow. Like nobody likes it.
Or just have it as a personal thing.
Like, if you get a limited buff, like for like a limited external buff, nobody likes that. Nobody. 0 people like that. Stop it.
The thing that really bothers me about it is the fact that if you look at PI, right, Priest already brings Stam, which is like, it's not crazy, but it's something, especially in a raid environment, it's nice to have, right? And Warrior already brings AP buff. And they bring Rallying Cry, right? So Warrior's already a reason to bring to a raid. Priest is already a reason to bring to a raid. And then they go and give him PI, and they give him this mastery buff now. So now you have like 2 reasons to bring a warrior, 2 reasons to bring a priest, and absolutely no reason to bring a survival hunter. Like, enjoy. And it's that kind of boggles my mind a little bit. Like, how have we got certain specs that have 2 bonuses and then other specs that don't have any bonus to bring to a raid? I think they either need to give everybody a raid buff, or they need and have shared ones. So like monk,
don't say that.
Monk, warrior. Whoa, hey, hold on. They either need to give everyone something, or no, like remove them all, right?
Yeah.
Because or do something like where monk, warrior, and survival hunter all do mystic touch, or like all do AP buff or something like that. So you can bring one of those 3, or you know, something like that, where at least it's like shared around, and like priest.
in
go on.
Warlords, when you played Lone Wolf on Hunter, you could choose any raid buff that you wanted to fill a slot, so we could stack Hunters more.
Oh yeah, another reason to bring Hunters. Yeah, that's what the game needed.
But I personally think that the philosophy behind raid buffs is there are a number of classes that are underrepresented. Let's let's give a reason to bring them. I would prefer to have the reason be they're good, not that because it is literally putting a bandage on a compound fracture with just bleeding out and everything. And it's oh well, well, you're gonna need the bandage. It's yeah to stop the bleeding, but can we long term fix
I can't use my leg. Can we do anything about that? Yeah.
No. Because even the people who are on those specs feel miserable. They're just kind of oh yeah,
I'm here for my battle shout.
Yeah, battle shout. The warrior is slowly becoming the best support class in the game, and that is far from me to speak on behalf of all warriors, but that doesn't seem like the class fantasy of a warrior player.
Yeah.
They want to go in, they want to smack stuff, they want to kind of bursty, immediate physical damage. They don't want what? Oh
yeah, sure, I can hold your purse for you and you can sit on my shoulders at the concert. Yeah, that's fine.
I joked about this on Twitter, but if something like that goes through, I can honestly imagine, okay, now we've got a burst down the side. So, the warrior, you have to leap to blue, where there's 2 boomkins waiting for him.
Yeah.
And that's it. You've got to leap out, stop your damage to do this, to give because at the moment the warrior's not doing any great damage. All the limit had the great play of, okay, we'll get the warrior from the actual tank, which I don't think a lot of guilds did. They were okay, we'll have the warrior be the tank, and we'll have a windwalker for the
Trill.
Yeah, the Trill factor.
The Trill effect here.
So, that turned out, even if they didn't have Trill, I think, looking back, I think everyone can, recognize that, oh, that was the correct call, because, Windwalkers turned out to be, really good.
Yeah.
But, it's kind of handy, to, if you're taking a risk, that risk be, can Trill play his main spec?
The funny thing is, the funny thing is that, I mean, speaking to Andy on the side of Pieces, he was saying that he wanted to have a Windwalker in the raid for Pieces, but they didn't have anyone that had a Windwalker ready because they didn't I don't know if it's they didn't realize or just nobody wanted to play it or something like that. But he was willing to actually raid as Windwalker for the tier, I think, and they would have had somebody else play Warrior, I believe, as the tank. So I think other guilds probably thought, oh yeah, that's good, but they didn't have it set up because they didn't realize quick enough. And yeah. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we sort of wandered past the class covenant changes type
yeah.
But yeah, limited buffs, stop it. It's not cool, it's not fun. I feel like a 90s anti-drug commercial at this point. It's
say no.
No.
I can't imagine what it's like to be a priest and enter a raid group and 8 people just go yo, can you use your PR on me though? Instantly just filling your whispers thing.
But I don't mind that. If you're I don't mind the idea of a healer having it for some reason. Maybe that might mean that.
Well, healers are support roles, aren't they, really?
Yeah.
I mean,
because
I hate how it fucks with everyone's numbers, logs and stuff.
They should put PI logs in a separate category. If you got PI, put it in a different WoW logs.
Yeah.
Just put it in a different log.
I'm going to speak on behalf of the Warcraft logs guy. Stop annoying him about it. He hears it every day as a suggestion. But there's a problem with that, as somebody pointed it out. Hippo from BDG pointed it out. If you do that, there is no way that people won't randomly PI you at 1% health just to fuck your log.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's true.
As soon as they see somebody's up on the meters, they're 1k damage above everyone else, oh, it's 100 percentile, boom, PI him, see ya.
Invalid.
Get out of here.
See ya.
But then with PI, what about this warrior mastery buff is okay, do you put I know they've got like one for like a setup for Final Fantasy where there's lots of like external stuff and like things like that there. I believe it was Final Fantasy. He does like a logs for a lot, like a number of games, I think. I'm kind of half remembering all this now. But yeah, like no, stop it. It's just no. Like I get it, but you unfortunately there's no quick fix for it. You've got
Yeah.
to fix the class.
Yeah.
Like, or at least like make one spec just so juicy that there are more priests.
The thing is, I don't understand how they're gonna like. I don't understand how Blizzard balances this game, because there's always gonna be a best thing, right? And like it doesn't. I personally don't feel like it feels good to be on the best thing. Like if you're a mage and you're in Mythic Plus and you're top DPS, like, oh, great job, sweetie. You were supposed to win. You were supposed, like, you had everything. Yeah. It's like being born into like a billionaire, like your dad's a billionaire, and then like you try and achieve anything in life. It's like, yeah, because you are a billionaire. Like, of course you did that thing. Like, it's the same thing with like being a mage. Like, yeah, you were supposed to win. You had literally everything going for you. You're statistically supposed to be the best. Like, great job that you beat me. And it's I don't know how, like, so I can't imagine it feels good to play those really good specs, but then it feels awful to play the shit specs. So I like, even if something is, let's say the top spec is only 1% better than the absolute worst spec in the game, people are still going to play that top spec. And then you have this like positive feedback loop thing, right? Or maybe it's a negative feedback loop. It's a loop, right? And basically what's going to happen, and you see this with Raider.io, right? So beginning of the season, you have your specs, and you have so like Fire Mage and MM Hunter are really good, right? So those specs get invited because people know that they're good. Then those specs get more gear and more IO. So next time you're going up against those people in the same group finder, well, now you're competing against that same person, but he has more IO and more gear than you, and he's a better spec. So now he gets invited again and gets more gear and more IO. And now, like, they're made to seem so much better than the other specs because they have more gear and, more opportunities to play. And they've got things like tanks pulling around them because tanks feel comfortable pulling around this thing and playing with this spec. They know how to play with it. So they don't have to go through a learning curve. Like Shadow Priest in BFA. Shadow Priest was good. People just didn't know how to play around it. So it took time for people to figure out how the tank needs to pull in order for Shadow to be better. And then once tanks that figured that out, Shadow Priest was actually performing really well. And I feel like the best players in the world are going to play those specs that are now marginally better than the other specs in the game, and it's going to make that divide seem even bigger than it creates an artificial divide, right? And I don't know how Blizzard can balance this game to the point where there's not always going to be a best thing, and there isn't going to just be a Dratnos tier list guide, and there isn't going to just be like, just ways for people to always find that best thing. Like, how do they balance this game?
Well, I don't think it should be perfectly balanced, but like, I think it should be closer.
Yeah, like, but what they're putting on right now is just like mandated like classes, like.
Yeah,
you need to have it, but it's still wildly unbalanced. If anything, having those buffs is showing you more like just how unbalanced it is, because you need to bring that like warrior, DPS warrior, and then you see him beside the three mages. Like all the ranged players have re-rolled by now, the three mages, but that warrior still has to be on his for battle shout. And the same with like monk and stuff like that there. Like, it is just highlighting the problem at the moment, and it's not fixing it, because like, for one thing, all of these buffs can be achieved by one, like, the presence of one thing. Like, so you basically, a quarter of your raid is predetermined because of these external buffs.
You got to bring a warrior, you got to bring some hunters, you got to bring some mages because soaks and whatever. And it used to be you had to bring rogues because they would have to cloak shit. And you just it's like for my guild with Huntsmen, we had like literally 2 spots in the raid that could be wild cards. Everything else was a predetermined, no, you're soaking one of these phases, or you're the tank, or you're the healer, like, and that was it, right? So sorry, go on, Johnny, but I just think there's not room for
really shit, so
True. No, hey, we're getting there.
But yeah, like, I'm ready to move on. Like, I think we all agree, like, it sucks, but I think adding another thing is just going to make it suck more. One thing I do like is the mechanic of the banner. fill up your banner and then drop it. If you are a tank, warrior, all of a sudden, because like it's a little bit different at the moment because of Prideful, but and you have to be really specific with your pulls, but that could make warrior tanking incredibly interesting because right now you're pulling around your mage all the time.
Yeah.
And at very high levels, I have a feeling that it's going to be around the mage anyway. But if you're a more casual player, you're going to start to develop routes that are more effective based around your banner filling up, so that you get those like real, like on your big pools, you've got the banner ready. But just make it on the warrior itself so that the warrior does like, silly BFA thunderclap damage, like type thing. Like give them that, but only when their banner's full and they like plop it down.
Yeah. That could be cool.
In regards to the PI like problem, which is like, a whole other thing, I can see them like making attempts by trying to make the other legendaries good. But really, the core problem is external DPS stuff doesn't feel good. Not a lot of people like it. That's the long and short of it.
Do you have anything to kind of jump in with, Russ? Or are you good?
Pretty much that, yeah. I think we're all in agreement, aren't we?
Yeah. Something that I like from chat, by the way, is Lithy said about how, because basically the skill cap of every class is pretty much the same in terms of skill required, it means that anyone can just pick up anything and play it. If there was more of a skill divide, then somebody would be like, oh, that spec is really good, but I got no chance, so I'm just gonna have to play something else instead. And then somebody that's really good at something that's off meta could still shine if there is that skill cap required, which I think that's a really cool idea, but again, that means redesigning all the classes, and that never really goes well. But that could be interesting for sure. Apart from that, in terms of like patch 9.0.5, I mean, we know it's a mini patch. We know that realistically, there's no new raid for anyone that's wondering, no new dungeons, nothing like that. It's more of just like a maintenance patch. We are seeing a few Covenant changes, and I think Blizzard in general are trying to make Necrolord more powerful, which is cool. I think that there aren't really many Necrolord specs in the game. I think Venthyr as well. I think there's only like Shaman, Warrior, and I think Priest used to, or Paladin at times would go Venthyr, and that was pretty much it. So it would be cool if there was, more. It seems like everyone's Night Fae, right? It seems like most classes are Night Fae. So it would be cool for Blizzard to kind of rebalance some of those in 9.0.5. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what they do there. Was there anything else that you guys wanted to touch on in 9.0.5, or should we kind of move on to and jump on kind of expectations with BlizzCon, or was there anything else that you guys wanted to kind of bring up with the patch?
I can't remember exactly what was in it, but it was just Valor stuff, those class changes that we talked about, and then
nerfing Warlocks.
I didn't even see that. I checked them last night, but I couldn't see that. So what was it? Just the Malefic Rupture?
The Malefic Rupture, yeah, which is nerfing their AoE. Because like Warlock right now is strong in single target, but their AoE isn't like incredible. But then they're nerfing the ability that affects their AoE as well as their single target, I believe. So basically, instead of just nerfing them in single target and just affecting their single target abilities, they've affected their AoE, which now means that they're probably going to be dog shit in keys. So like, yeah, I don't know. There's a way that you can get the same result and take different routes, right? And I think Blizzard has taken a route that means that now it's pissed off a lot of the Warlocks. But we'll see what happens with that. Power to those Warlocks out there. So people are saying Fey Guardian buff is the biggest change. What's the Fey Guardian buff? For Priest, Fey Guardian's Night Fae buffed. I don't even know what that does. Call for three Fairy Guardians to attend your targets for 20 seconds. Indirect attacks against target. This is so much to read. I can't read it all.
Yeah. No, I think that's another external thing.
I hate how they haven't learned from this. Like, they had
increases the cooldown
back in the day, right?
Increases the cooldown recovery rate of your target's major ability by 150%, right? So is that castable on allies? Is that what it is, chat? I hadn't actually seen that. Yeah. 40-second combust. Yeah, that seems fair. That's okay. Let's do more of that. Let's do more of that. You know what? Don't even give it a cooldown. I'm sick of Combust having a cooldown. All right.
Yeah.
Keep it
true.
global locked, and that's it. All right. I've had enough. All right.
Fuck.
Honestly, I think a Melee player must have slept with a developer's wife, because Melee again shafted and ranged are absolutely powering through.
I'm actually, like, I was saying how much I'm enjoying my class pick of Rogue this expansion, and I've actually stuck to it. It's like the longest I've ever stuck with like one class. And like the past like maybe 2 weeks, I've been like, is it time? Is it time to just go range?
Outlaw's killing it, man.
I've been looking at yeah, Outlaw's doing good, but Mage is just better, you know, and I can play both. And I'm just like Mage is there, Hunter's there. I'm looking at my character list every time I log in. I'm just like, oh, Ruzi do be looking good today.
More damage.
My Mage do be looking good today.
Less mechanics.
Yeah, less mechanics. I can stand in range. I can, you know, it's just like that do be tempting. But I'm gonna stick with Rogue. Maybe put it on the side, on the back burner, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I think stick with your guns, man. Stick with your guns, but maybe, yeah, I don't know. Maybe dabble in Mage a little bit, see what happens.
Yeah.
Get that zero CD combust going on. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I mean, then moving on, Johnny, you didn't have anything that you wanted to bring up, did you? No. No, you good?
I've ranted enough about small external buffs and raid buffs and stuff like that. Just fucking delete them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm agreed. Looking at BlizzCon then, guys, what do you kind of anticipate? I mean, BlizzCon's in a couple days now. I think something like 5-6 days, something like that, right?
Friday. Yeah.
It's on Friday. Yeah, there you go. So what are you guys thinking? Anything that you're like big on? Because we're gonna have obviously the World of Warcraft panel. We're gonna have the what's coming next. So we'll probably that'll probably be alluding to the next. It's probably not going to be on 9.0.5. It's probably going to be looking at the raid tier. Yeah, right. So and then I imagine we'll probably see the PTR for like 9.1 or whatever go up a few weeks after BlizzCon. Maybe I anticipated that they would put the PTR up for 9.1 as soon as BlizzCon like went live, like, you know, like after the WoW announcement. But now with the 9.0.5 PTR, I'm kind of like, oh, maybe they you know, it might be coming later. But is there anything that you guys are anticipating from this patch? What do you think we might be seeing? Starting with you, Russ.
Well, to address the elephant in the room, I guess a new raid. I think we'll probably be seeing a new raid, and I reckon we'll be going to Moldraxxus. Personally, I think. I don't know. I guess it's a wild guess, but because of like how the tier system works in terms of like the covenants, you know, Revendreth being like the last chance before the Maw, I'm assuming we're now just going to go up. So I'm thinking we're going to go Moldraxxus into Ardenweald into Bastion. And that'll be like the 4 big raids. And then like maybe we'll like face Arthas in the Maw or something. I don't know. At the end, who knows? But
and we just have to street battle him. Street dance battle or something.
I mean, they said they were going to flesh that out over the course of the expansion. I'm interested to know like what they're going to do with it, like over, like I guess they'll add on more like sections of it, or is there parts of it that's still locked up? Like
what? Sorry, what's that?
In the Maw.
Oh, in the Maw.
They said they're fleshing it out, right?
Who knows? It's quite a like realistically, it's quite a barren zone. I wouldn't even compare it to something like the Timeless Isle. Like Timeless Isle was like infinitely just more fleshed out in my opinion, or I don't know. I mean, Argus was a bit that didn't quite hit the mark for me personally, but there was a decent amount of content there. Yeah, I feel like the Maw is a little bit lacking, but we know that they're looking to change how that's gonna.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how they'll change it. Like if they'll add more like land in there, or if they're just gonna like add in like, you know, they'll just do the generic thing where they chuck a bunch of like rares in and be like, now they drop mounts, you know?
Yeah.
And then people go to the Maw to farm their daily mounts like they did in Argus and stuff.
It could be like what happened with was it the Molten Front with Hyjal with Firelands, where like the zone developed and stuff like you grew the tree and like stuff like that. So maybe they could do something like that in the Maw, where as our presence is like, you know, more structured over time or whatever. We have more of the Maw. Whilst we're in the Maw, and it develops over time, and maybe things change, and and like structures and stuff could be built and whatever, and maybe it's something like that.
Could develop a religion in there called Mormons. I'm so happy with myself. Anyway, yeah, like with the whole Maw thing.
Well, there
like,
goes all my Mormon viewers. Thanks, Johnny. They're gone. They're never coming back.
Mormons are the space like angel ones, aren't they?
Space angels.
Yeah.
Anyway, with the
they're not a feature in 9.1, by the way. I don't think. I don't think that's the plan.
Actually, who knows? Like, stick a fucking carrion on the Vindicar. But yeah, like I really don't give a shit about the Maw. Like, it was the Maw was cool for 2 weeks, and then it's like kind of over it. Yeah, like oh, okay, you're like I get it, and then you're like second week, you're like, oh, okay, so give me a sort of like capstone here. Like I get that they're they want to sort of tease out a little bit of development and like story with like the Venari and stuff, but her development seems to be go and do this quest, which has absolutely nothing to the dialogue I'm about to tell you when you get back, and that's it. Like I'd like to see a little bit more improvements on Torghast, like like announcements and being like, hey, we're going to make some changes, like a little bit more. Like the hunters particularly get really shit like anima powers.
Yeah, hunters are terrible. They're so bad.
Like I have to do twisting corridors on my DK because I can't do it on my rogue.
Seriously?
My DK is like my 200 eye level alt, yeah, because it's invincible. But my rogue, like the only build that you can go for is like this Shadow Step RNG like the whole thing, it's all defensive powers, but it's all RNG defenses. So like you can theoretically keep up 100% on Cloak of Shadows and 100% on evasion if you get the right powers, which you don't always, by the way. And then but then even then it's still a slot machine. Like you have to constantly chug your vial, the healing one. Like you have to get down to like 0-second cooldown and constantly chug the vial, and then you might get like 6 seconds evasion, I think it is, or like 8 seconds evasion.
That sounds like the most.
But you're using your globals.
Uninteresting thing I've ever heard. Yeah, so I need my heal on a 0-second
because you're sitting there chugging your vial, like, please give me evasion.
Yeah.
And if your evasion falls off, boom, 100% to 0, just one shot, and your run's just done. Like,
and you're just auto attacking in between.
Yeah, you're auto attacking, just like drinking your vial, like, please. Okay, now I need a Cloak of Shadows, please. And then you only have like your actual cloak and evasion like once every 2 minutes, just to like just in case. It's so stupid.
I think that is a problem with Torghast. I think Torghast could definitely be improved. I think Blizzard does really like they do a really weird job of creating these like almost amazing like features in the game. Like look at islands, right? Islands in BFA were like almost an amazing new feature, and like I could have seen those spanning into Shadowlands and being like a new game mode kind of thing if they'd improved on it and they'd iterated on it. But they kind of just left it and went, oh no, never mind. And same with like things like Mage Tower. Mage Tower was amazing, and then they went, nah, okay, we're gonna leave that in that expansion. Yeah. And then they come up with Torghast. Yeah, and challenge modes, and then like Torghast. Well, challenge modes I'd say kind of developed into Mythic Plus. So
but
yeah,
I think they should have the like vanity rewards from challenge modes.
I agree.
At like 20s or something.
Yeah, I agree. But and then they do the same with Torghast, where Torghast is like almost amazing, but then they butcher it somewhere along the line, or they just kind of stop putting in the effort with it, and it's like really weird how they do that. But the thing with Torghast, like I think it needs to be looked at, because it seems to just be a lot of like you're fishing for like 1 or 2 abilities, and if you get those 2, then you're done. Like runs over. Like a little known fact, if you play Necrolord on Monk, which nobody does, then you basically just fish for this Bone Dust Brew one, and it increases the damage of your Bone Dust Brew by 1,000%. 1,000%, and you basically go in and on cooldown you just throw it down, and then everything dies, and that's it. And you fish for that ability, you get it, and then you are invincible. It doesn't matter what level you do, and you just.
But that's but I would say keep that in.
Yeah, no, it's really fun.
But give like hunters some like roguelikes. The core fun of roguelikes is that you get that combo and you break the game.
Yeah.
And you're doing really stupid, silly things. Like the things that like rogues and hunters are seeing on like the subreddit, I'd be like, oh, I wish my character could do something like that.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
so my like, I would want from BlizzCon, specifically with Torghast, them to just sort of like, okay, we're giving silly abilities to the ones that it sucks on, and we have a list of them. And
It's like a dream world. Like you should go in and just like completely have a great time, and then come back out and be like, okay, now I'm playing normal WoW again.
On that being said, on my paladin, on the like I remember going in and like just specking entirely into haste, and I had like 50 or 60% of haste, and it just felt so good to play. Like nothing had changed in my build apart from the haste, and like going out was like going like that scene in Train Spotting where he just goes cold turkey. Like I was like screaming and like scratching at the walls to like let me back in, like let me go back to the happy place.
Like there are some cool abilities for like rogue. Like there's a Shadow Strike build where you can like amp up your next like combo point generator, so your Shadow Strikes hit really hard like every time you use a finisher. There's stuff which like amplifies your finishers. Like you can get the damage, but what I feel like is the problem with the rogues in Torghast is like, firstly, like you're so squishy. Like I can barely like on my DK I can pull an entire corridor and just like turn on my like Lichborn thing, and it'll just like constantly heal me to full while I just like slay the pack, and it has no cooldown. So I'm literally invincible unless I get 100% to zeroed in one hit, because otherwise the death claw's just going to heal me. And then like on my rogue I can barely pull like 3 mobs because like I just straight get like squashed. And like you have to choose between, do I want to try and have like permanent survivability, in which case you giving up all your damage powers, or do you want to have damage, in which case you can't survive? Like you have to choose. So like in a group I guess you could, go for damage or something, but like I like going into Torghast and being like, I want to solo this. It's like a challenge. It feels more like Mage Tower and stuff. Like I want to do this by myself, but it's annoying that it just feels like I'm on a rogue. I have to go in a group.
Yeah. So do you guys think that we'll see like Torghast changes? Do you think, and like I mean, obviously I know this seems to be a really important issue to you guys, but what other kind of aspects of the game are you hoping to see? Do we anticipate flying? Russ, you said we'll get a new raid, which we will. It's likely that we're going to get a raid tier for each of the zones. That's what people are speculating about. That would make a lot of sense. But yeah, so far you're hoping some more changes. You're hoping for some Torghast changes.
Yeah. Not really hoping for those, but expecting, I guess. Expecting that they'd fleshed out Torghast a little bit more than it is right now.
Yeah.
Like I think that like Torghast was one of the things when we went into like beta and alpha and stuff that people were like, whoa, this is really cool. Like, please don't screw this up, Blizzard. And I feel like now it's falling a little bit by the wayside, if that's the expression. And like they can breathe some new life into it somehow. Like they're trying, I guess, with the like, there's like right now there's like ghost like echoes, like the like the events that sometimes come, like we had the dogs or the pets. Now we have like the ghost thing, which I think is really boring because you just spam 2. But like they're trying to like make it, oh, there's a new thing in Torghast, I'm gonna go try that out, and it's like, oh, it was disappointing, or like, oh, it was terrible. But like there's so much that they could do with it because it's meant to be like crazy stupid fun. And right now it's just,
I think they try and make it too they try and make it too challenging. Like I think they should just let us be overpowered, because who gives a shit if you're overpowered in Torghast? Like you're literally just getting your soul ash. I go in on my druid and my hunter and I just stealth the whole thing, and then I kill the last boss. I don't get any abilities. I just kill the last boss and that's it. It takes me 10 minutes and I'm done. Like I really liked it on the beta because you were super overpowered, or at least it felt like it at times, and then all the abilities were new and everything. I'd love to see them add things like, make it more Diablo-esque with like goblin levels, and like, you're doing your Torghast run and then suddenly there's a goblin over there and you got to go kill it, and it might drop herbs and minerals and or ore or whatever, or it might drop, take you to a portal realm and it takes you to like, a new level with a bunch of gold, and maybe you can loot 10k gold or some shit in like some random goblin level, which could be really fun, and just it's something that happens every once in a while and just kind of adds that extra bit of zest and spice to your run. But I think they're making it too challenging, which I don't really see the point in that. But what about you, Johnny? Anything that you're kind of expecting from BlizzCon?
I would like to see like speed run.
Speed run it.
What's gonna happen? They're going to announce a new raid. I think Russ is right, which is, kind of weird. But Maldraxxus, because there's the floating ziggurat thing that doesn't actually do anything. End boss, Kalthasad. Balancing patch, I don't think they're going to balance, like it's going to be like they're going to do much in terms of balancing. If they do, it will be adjustments of whatever they did in 9.05. I think if you're like, this is pure speculation, by the way, but I think if you look at 9.05 and the spec that you're on isn't getting love, now's the time to switch.
Yeah.
There's like a don't turn into a shaman or a priest that's constantly waiting for next tier. Like,
Yeah.
no, just re-roll. Like, give up.
That's right, kids. It'll never become anything great. Give up now. Don't stay in school. It doesn't matter. Yeah, go on.
One thing I wanted to bring up was the cross-region play. Because
yes,
you know, it writes itself. They're like, oh, and after all, it is World of Warcraft. Yes, starting blah blah blah, and then everyone claps. I clap, you clap.
Everyone claps. This crying red shirt guy. He's in there.
Like, you know, I don't know what the technical like problems is with like sorry, crossplay between EU and NA. I'm not going to pretend to know. But God, like everyone wants it. Like, and it was something that everyone really liked on beta, particularly with like content creators or like even people like high end like guilds and stuff like that. There, it's nice to be able to play with people, even if it's not optimal. Like, you know, somebody's got to take the like MS hit, but you know, there are literally players who have taken world first, playing like transatlantic. Like, it is entirely doable. And I don't think like I was actually online on my NA account that I've been trying to like level up just to play with like BDG people or like NA friends. Not going anywhere, by the way. Like, it's miserable. I'm not leveling it up. And all of my like I was there when that like merge was happening because it was saying I was friends with all these people. Didn't understand what was happening at the time. I just thought, you know, I was straight onto that like CS, like customer service, like Twitter account. Like,
fix it.
No, but like yeah, like I would love that. I'm just worried that we're all just kind of like we've just made it up, and they're just sitting there like,
when do we break it to them?
Yeah. Someone's finger slips. They're like, ooh.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, oh, and then it's like,
Kyle, did you press that button?
All right, we've got 2 weeks to try and explain this.
But yeah, exactly. Like, but like going through the like show notes, somebody wrote down 2 legendaries ? That is something we've just made up. Like collectively as a group, we've all made up. Oh well, Legion had 2, so we'll have 2. I think it's more likely we'll get a mage tower than we'll get 2 legendaries.
I think legendaries.
Really?
Maybe we get it in a later patch, but not this one.
Maybe not 9.1, but I think 2 legendaries will definitely be a thing because it's an easy to implement like additional power gain, right? It doesn't come at increasing item level. It doesn't come at having to rebalance like things really. I mean, they might have to kind of bring some legendaries in because once you can equip 2, suddenly, you know, sky's the limit, and we probably will see a 0 CD combust from mages or something like that. But 2 legendaries, kind of just expected that they will do that. But yeah, maybe in a 0.2 or 0.3 or something like that.
I think like the mage tower thing is going to happen. Like, be it a mage tower or a challenge mode or some sort of like, you need to be this good to get this magic prize, and it's per class, possibly per like a spec, like we had with the mage tower. I think we are getting something like that. I think it's something that people said they wanted in like as soon as it happened in Legion. They were asking about it in like when BFA was announced. And I think it was like a little bit too late, maybe in like development cycle, to be like, oh, let's make a mage tower. And at that point, do you really want just another mage tower?
Yeah, the like, same exact one. You want a new one.
Yeah, like, and then they're like, fuck, you know, push it back type thing.
Yeah.
But I think there's been enough time for them to sort of like look and be like, okay, that's something that was incredibly popular. And it did have people playing like more. There was like, oh, I got all 32, posting it on Twitter. It's like, you know, actually, I got the feral one. And I want to shout out Hikili, the rotation, like priority add-on maker, because that meant I never had to like learn that dog shit spec. I just had to press buttons as it came up. I was just like, yep, and I was like, bam, give me the
It's
little
like-
I think it was the gummy bear that it looked like.
It's the Star Kitty, right? Yeah.
It's the Star one. Yeah, I would never use that because you'd go into a key and people could easily see this big, vibrant, flashy like cat, and they'd go, "Yeah, kick that guy as a feral." So I would never use that skin. It was a trap, but now you can use whatever you want. Yeah. That was it. Yeah, Heckley was actually supposed to be pretty good for the feral rotation. So there you go, Johnny.
I think, yeah, it's like the equivalent of those kids' toys when you put the shape into the hole, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. But something that I would really like to see, so people are mentioning tier sets. I would like to see tier sets coming in 9.1. That would be really, really good. I would also like to see cross-faction Mythic Plus. I think cross-faction Mythic Plus needs to happen. I think Alliance is absolutely dying out there, and if they made it so that you could suddenly, because you can merc up for PvP, right? And I know you want to jump in there, Johnny. So we'll let you in a sec. But I think, go on.
Wait. I'm just adjusting. Remember the fictional. After all, it's the world of Warcraft. Blah blah, and everyone claps. Go straight into, and not just our world, but within Azeroth. That's right. Starting with 9.1, you will be able to do high-end tier, and it sees like Alliance Horde, like blah blah blah. And they're like, these stakes are too high, and they give like a little lore reason for those fucking lore nerds. Be like, the stakes are too high. The very life of Azeroth itself hangs in the balance. There's no room for faction. Ooh, awful stuff. And it's like, we will combine. And again, more clapping.
Yeah,
Just
more clapping. More clapping, more crying. Yeah, that hopefully it does go like that. I would like to see cross faction Mythic Plus. I feel like the technology is there, and I think that they should definitely do that.
Yeah, I mean, we have the technology with the like in Battlegrounds you can go and queue as Alliance, right?
So, that's what I'm saying. Like, why not Mythic Plus? It would just be
one thing that it really doesn't affect us. We all play Horde, but I've seen some like Alliance players who you can queue up at any time, like you were saying before, at any time to get rejected from a key. There are people who can't even get rejected. There is simply the keys aren't being ran because there's not enough players.
I used to play Alliance in BFA for a couple seasons, and there were literally 3 keys, and then you go on Horde, and there was like 15, and it's just.
I want to dwarves are my thing. Like funny Gaelic accent, check. Beards, check. Like I'm a dwarf stuck in a tall man's body. Like it's a curse, but that's my thing. And like plus like the Alliance City.
Whatever you get stuck in on a Friday night, Johnny, is up to you, but not appropriate for this stream.
But yeah, like that'd be cool to see.
Yeah.
And plus, I've already written the speech for them, so they may as well do it.
All the clapping.
Yeah. They're going to snap you up soon. Speechwriter for BlizzCon.
Was there anything else that you guys wanted to bring up with BlizzCon that you'd like to see or anything like that? I know we're short for time now. I know, Johnny, you've got to go soon. Yeah, TBC, got to be announced. Got to be announced. Absolutely.
TBC.
You're going to play that?
I will.
Yep. Same.
I might. It depends how I'm not leveling another fucking character.
Yeah, I really want it to be fresh.
I want fresh.
Yeah. They just cannot be like, okay, off you go. Like that's like the worst that they can do. But like I prefer fresh, or like start like level 58 or something on fresh, or transfer your character, but you can only take like 500 gold and no bank, but only like the clothes on your back or the gear on your back and your bags. And you can only transfer a certain amount of characters or something, so you can't just be like, oh, just get around that and transfer my banks on like hundreds of alts.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. I think that's what they should do.
Because otherwise, there's people that have like 50k gold or like more, and like that's enough for epic flying like 10 times over.
My little brother, he's big on Classic WoW right now. He's like plays some big time guild. He's doing Nax and all that kind of stuff. And he was telling me some guy like in the Classic WoW community, some guy paid something like 100k gold or something, or 190k gold for like a weapon.
Yeah,
because you all bid like you in Classic.
Oh, the GDKP, GD.
No, like gold, like Like,
but they so it's like a pug, and then they bid on the items.
Yeah. You bid on everything
and
now.
Then the pot gets split between everyone at the end. Yeah.
It's maybe something like that.
Or something.
Maybe something like that. But yeah, a guy paying like other people paying like 30,000 gold for weapons and shit like this, and like that's how much gold they have spare.
It's crazy.
Like,
yeah,
it's they can't transfer that. Go on, Johnny.
The guy who got given a weak aura.
No.
Yes.
And he goes
and it got yoinked.
Hit the weak auras, so like, oh.
Wait, what was this?
There was this weak. Someone coded a weak aura to send themselves like this amount of gold from like through the mail. So all he had to do was open the mailbox, and then the weak aura was like, all the triggers was like mailbox open,
send, type in name,
bag. Send to this, send this amount of gold. So he just clicked the mailbox. Like the guy was like, oh, I sent you an in-game mail or something. Like he sent him the weak aura, and he was like, yeah, do this for like, I don't know, like Crusader orbs in Stratholme Living.
Yeah.
And then like he was like, oh cool, thanks for the weak aura. And then he's like, oh, also I sent you something in game. And then he like goes to the mailbox, and then it just goes whoop, and like 13k gold just goes. It just goes ching, and it says like mail sent on his screen. He's like, he's like, wait, what just happened? And then all of his gold is gone. And then he's like, looks in the weak aura, and it's just like coded like sending your gold to this.
There was another weak aura similar to that, which just disbanded your guild. It's got like a center. I forget. Like it might have been Nighthold. It might have been earlier than that. But yeah, like I remember seeing a clip. I think it might have been Jack, actually automatic Jack, and just just the sort of like pause, because it was like also linked to an ability on the first boss maybe. So when the first boss came out, your guild when the first ability came out in Mythic, and your guild just disbanded.
All right, guys, it's time for Scorpion.
Hey, that's some good stuff. I like that. Right, so chat, I did say that there was some time for you guys to ask some quick questions. We will do a super quick fire round. So, Johnny, what is your favorite Belfast pub? I don't know if you can you even answer that question? Oh, I guess Belfast, like, yeah, it's all right.
The back room in the Aragal.
That sounds very Lord of the Ringsy.
The old man's pub, but like that's good because like they don't play music. Nice green leather chairs. You can just sit there.
They don't have seats. They don't have music.
No, the seats are nice. Or like again, like near the Orma, like on the Orma, like a big house is nice. All the ones in town are shite. They just turn up the music on like Friday and Saturday.
I hate
try and
that
make
shit.
you drink more, and you can't talk to your mates.
Yeah, no. If I'm going to a pub now, I want to be able to talk to my friends. I don't want to listen to the music. I don't want to listen to karaoke. Who brings karaoke to pubs? By the way, don't stop that. How long? Okay, I'm not asking Russ that. Ask Russ his favorite Disney movie. What is that, Russ?
Honestly, I'm wearing a Disney hoodie, but it's more of a fashion statement. No, I reckon like one of the Toy Stories, probably Toy Story.
He's making one of the Toy Stories. That sounds like the answer that somebody who's never seen a Disney movie would say.
Like the claw,
Yeah.
I like Toy Story. I also quite like Lion King. It's a bit more like musical,
Oh, Lion King's my favorite. Yeah, that's a good one. I have a question for all three of you. When Russ is creating his guild to become the top 1 Brexit mythic streamer, will the rest of you join the guild just cult? Yeah, I'll throw an alt in.
Well, I've got an Irish passport as well, so one person in this call isn't going to be affected by Brexit.
Not in a negative way, anyway.
I mean, I may exploit your weakening currency months from now, but you know.
The old switcheroo. I guess it's only your, only fair. What else? What other questions you guys got for us? Is that pretty much it? That's pretty much it, right? So no serious questions then. Oh, Russ merch when? When's the merch coming, Russ?
It's in the process of being made. By the way, what website? What do you use for your merch? Because it looks really good quality. Johnny, can you confirm?
Yep, can confirm. It's held up as well through this is like 10 or 20 washes as well.
Wow.
Yeah, look at that.
Still good.
I've only washed mine like twice. We've had him the same amount of time. I use
He's not even joking. He's
Yeah, no, I'm serious.
It's a joke, but
I use Spreadshirt. I actually think they're really good. The quality, honestly, the quality is nuts. Like I'm not even trolling. Like the merch quality is really good. The pants are quite shit though. The words have faded on my underwear, but the hoodies and shit, they're super comfortable. Real nice fit. I felt good material, real warm. Shirt's pretty decent as well. Yeah, like good. I check them out. They're pretty good prices and stuff as well. So,
cool. Alrighty.
Yeah, I check it out.
Check out Cyber's merch, guys. It's,
yeah, merch in chat. Hey, nice.
Yeah. Wait. Let me get his other.
I'd say I think Ross's merch is coming around about. I think it's releasing with his first YouTube video. I think that's.
I made one today, man.
Yeah, sure.
It's almost at 1K subs now. I was getting there.
Is a 226 file the correct choice from GV from the Vol?
Yes.
Yeah, file is. Yeah, that's the correct choice.
So there's a backstory to that one.
Oh yeah, go on.
That guy in chat, Jarak Tapal, he had a choice of a 213 weapon, a 223 weapon, or a 226 vial.
Yeah.
And he took the 213 weapon as a warrior.
Somebody ban that guy from chat. We can't have.
Yeah,
we can't have.
He's
that.
already banned in my chat. That's why he's here.
Let's ban him up. I wanted to take a second as well. By the way, Emerut, thank you for that 25 coming in for Panthera, saying for all them wild kitties representing us, Feral IRL. Hey, absolutely. Thank you for that, Emerut. Really, really appreciate those donations coming through during the show. Apart from that, we will be saying goodbye to these two lovely gentlemen in a second, and then I'm going to be playing some WoW, so you guys can stick around if you want to see me play some Feral and some Survival. You know what I'm really annoyed about, by the way? I'm really annoyed. So I made it my mission to get rank 1 Survival Hunter about like a week or so ago, and Undad. And by the way, you can probably bring this up with Undad Johnny because you got them connections. What the hell? He just went into rank 1, just out of nowhere, just like in a day.
An unstoppable force. You came up against the Robster and you lost, kid.
But what's his problem, dude? Like he knew that was important to me, and he took it from me. Why would he do that?
It's less that he's like taking it from you. It's just
you weren't good enough
on a path, like a tornado, and you just happen to be in the way. Like Robbie Fortnite is bigger than all of us put together. He's more of an idea. You know?
I got beaten by an idea. You know what? I can live with that.
And to be fair, it's not his fault that he likes that spec and that he's like, you know, he's interrupted you feasting on the corpses of the good specs like a IO vulture to try and get rank 1s and things that
no one cares about. It's like when people get really weird like world records where they're like, yeah, I ate the most pennies, and you're like, okay, cool. Nice. Like nobody really cares about it, but you know, as if anybody cares about the big specs, man. We're all losers. We're all playing a 15-year-old child's video game, and I think that's important. Hey, thank you for that, Carl. Thank you for that 30, dude. I appreciate that. I thought I muted my sounds coming through, but apparently I didn't. So we're gonna all sit and listen to this really quickly. There we go. DJ Funk, thank you for 25 coming through, dude. I hope this will help to kill the Heartsbane Triad, dude.
That's me. Wait, what did it say?
DJ Funk. DJ Funk. I hope this will help to kill the Heartsbane Triad.
Flavius, man. Come on, dude. Oh, I just outed him. Anonymous.
Oh, that's an anonymous.
Oh, that's a what's that like EU thing? GRTP like breach?
I don't know. I don't know, but
well, I guess
Russ is in trouble
today.
Cancel him, boys. Cancel him. Grab his legs, kick his ass.
I swear I get cancelled like 3 times a day. Like,
I'm against cancel culture.
Grand risk on your stream. Hey, your choice.
Basic consequences. Like, it's not like people like 10 years ago was like, oh, I pulled my dick out at work and got cancelled. Cancel culture.
Yeah, I guess it's cancel culture.
You got fired. And like now people are like just doing shitty things and being like, oh, this cancel culture is just like out of whack. It's like, you killed 3 people. Like, I can still hear their screams. So like, crazy cancel culture, I guess.
Nah, yeah, I don't know with cancel culture. I know that I definitely want Russ canceled though, so I'm okay with it. But
get rid of the competition. I get it.
You're my biggest competition, Russ. We're battling against who can be the smaller streamer, and we're it's a fight we're both very keen on. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure having you on. I know Johnny, you got to head off soon. I know Russ, you've got your own stream stuff going on. You're probably cooking or something. But anything you guys want to say before you go, apart from just from me, thank you guys for being here. It's been a pleasure. I love sitting down with you. We'll have to do this again soon for sure. But yeah, starting with you, Russ, and then with you, Russ, and then with you, Johnny. Thanks for being here. And anything you want to say? You want to plug yourself? You got a new book coming out? Anything like that you want to?
Well, I'll plug myself later on tonight, but I will say that I will be streaming later on. So
I hear Johnny knows a dwarf that can help you out there if you want.
I know you can pop in later in my stream. I'll type in chat, smiley face. There's me.
Hey, I'll give you a shout, dude. I got you, man. I got you. But apart from plugging yourself, anything else you got going on?
No, that's about it. Yeah, I have fun doing these. So next time just hit me up again. Maybe get some beers involved or something if you feel it. We can do like a late night one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
sounds like a plan.
Maybe I'll even do my own spin at some point, and then I'll get you on.
Hey, nice. We just basically every day is another episode of us just going on each other's shows. Nice. I like it.
We'll actually just become just chatting streamers. We won't even play WoW anymore because we'll always be doing talk shows.
Russ, what would your talk show be called? Oh, go on, Johnny. Sorry.
I like that your friendship has to have this like level of like, oh, it's a podcast. Like you're too insecure just to be like, I just want to hang out with you. Like you can't just.
We need an excuse, Johnny.
Like, no,
he has a girlfriend, okay? We're trying to keep it on the DL, the chiz,
right.
Johnny.
Yeah. Okay.
It's professional. Like it's work, okay? It's work. Can't just hang with my bro. That would be,
Man,
people would see through that.
Being in a call with Cyberslap for over an hour is work.
Yeah. You know what? I'm not gonna fight that one. Russ, what would your talk show be called if you were gonna have one, dude? You got a name for it yet?
I'm willing to take suggestions. I'm really bad at naming stuff. Like if I ever have to make a character on WoW, I make like all the features. I spend ages on the features, and I sit at the naming box for like 45 minutes, just like I don't know. Okay, I'll just name it based on testicles or something. Like I just can't. I don't know. So I guess something about. Yeah, so they're gonna say like something about cult. So I guess I might just play into it at this point and just like call it like I don't know, cult thoughts or something.
thoughts of a cult. That's how you get banned on Twitch.
Thoughts of a cult. Yeah,
that's how you get banned on Twitch real quick. What about rustling with Russ? Because you're always rustling everyone's jimmies, huh? That could be good.
Yeah, yeah, that's not too bad. That's not too bad.
Or you could just call it a Tesco meal deal, and it's just you reviewing various Tesco meal deal sandwiches. What do you think?
Blue logs and beers.
Blue logs and beers.
I like that.
That's actually a good one.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, I like that one. That's funny.
Twitch ban speedrun. Okay, guys. Why do I have this bad rep?
It's just who you are as a person, Russ. Don't worry about it. Don't take it personally. Johnny, sorry guys, I thought I muted my my alerts coming through, but I didn't, so apologies. Johnny, what about you, man? Anything you want to plug or say before you go for the day?
Follow me on Twitter, Johnnyonelung, and follow Big Dumb Gaming on Twitter as well.
Oh, don't be like that. Don't be that guy that plugs his org as well.
Pieces.
Follow Big Dumb
Wanna
Gaming
see him
first,
take
and
the
then,
win?
If you've got room in your life for other guilds, then you're happy to choose. There are plenty of alternatives, but Big Dumb Gaming, yeah. There
you go. I've linked him in the chat for you. If you guys want to check out Johnny on Twitter, he puts out some decent he puts out content. And Big Dumb Gaming, I heard they're doing stuff. They're going places, so that's good. Oh, sorry, Moldy, I missed your question. Why is Johnny living in 1920s and Cyber living in 2008? Johnny's just a 13-year-old girl from MySpace, so he's full grayscale. He's probably going to take some...
No, I'm not. I'm not a 13-year-old girl from MySpace.
I don't want 13-year-old girls to reply for me. Thank you, Johnny.
When you were 13, I'm pretty sure you were.
When I was 13, that was okay, but not... This dynamic, not so much. No, but thank you guys for being on. I appreciate it. I'm gonna go play some WoW, so please feel free to keep watching, guys and gals. And yeah, thank you for the donations coming through. Thank you for hanging out and enjoying the show. Hope it was a good time. I will be throwing this up on YouTube for you and stuff as well. Justruss, Johnny, thank you guys for being on.
Video, then.
Yeah, hey, nice. That's your first YouTube
So I don't
vid.
even have to make my own.
There you go. I got you sorted. But no, thanks for being on, gentlemen, and have a good night. I'm gonna hang up on you now.
All right.
Bye.
As always.
All right, peace. All right, chat. There we go. There we go. Yo, McClap. Flev coming in with a gifted sub to McClap. 70 gifted subs in this channel. Thank you, dude. Hey. Thank you, dude. Wait, hold on. Let me get my stuff in order. Yo, I appreciate that. Yo, thank you for these subs that have come through during the show. Slick Touch as well coming in with a prime. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate you. Thank you. Hey, hell yeah. Hey, let's get a bit of music going on. Get some music going on. And we're going to play some WoW.